guys, I'm Tony. Um, I just wanted to show you.
We're just gonna talk today about free birth and my husband's experience with free birth. And because Emily is about to go into the experience as well, we just wanted to have like a candid conversation about some things that others may want to know and may not already know. So we're just gonna jump right in. And Emily, could you tell us what platforms to find you on?
You can find me on Instagram. I actually was inactive since January, but I wanted to start picking things up to share the love about free birth and my experience with my wild pregnancy. So you can find me at Emily Seeboo, EmilYSeeBoo, and my website's under construction.
Okay. And so, as you guys already know, you can find me here on YouTube at C Star Chi and on all podcasting platforms at C Star Tribe.
You can find me on Facebook, Anthony Osley. That is my name, Anthony Osley. Yeah, I have an Instagram as well, but we can put that in there. It's probably gonna get put in the video.
Okay.
We can, yeah.
Just throw that in.
Oh, and also my YouTube, Emily Seeboo. You can check that out too.
Okay. All right, you guys. So,
I'll start because, do you want to?
Babe, how did you hear about the free birth experience?
So basically, I've always thought about not having to go to the hospital. Like I've always just, been that type of person within myself. Like I just, when I get hurt in sports or anything, I never went to the hospital ever. Like I always healed myself, and everything turned out all right. So I decided to give that the benefit of the belief, in a way.
Yeah.
So that's how I, initially thought of to do it, or we came to a consensus to go about doing home birth or free birth.
Yeah. And I want to say that is definitely a lot easier on your personal mental psyche as a woman when your partner is open and not so set on one way of how you should birth. If your partner is open and receptive to what it is that you're requesting and being supportive to free birth, that really, really helps because you don't have two forces going against each other and somebody like telling you things in your ear like you should do this and this is why. So
yeah,
I was really happy when he told me that he was going to be supportive, like, oh yeah, that's cool.
And I look at the terms like midwife and doula, and I look at these terms and I look at how much they're charging, and it's just like, well, all you're really doing is making sure that she has everything she needs, technically, So all these labels like are just that. So we can bend that. We can, if we choose to just communicate, we can do that.
When you say we, do you mean like
we
partners?
As in partners?
Okay.
Yeah, together. Yeah, but we as in men too. Like when we decide to take, that's just that step to just be there. That
you provided a space. You held a space for Regina.
Right.
And I feel like people who do hire doulas or midwives, they're kind of allowing them to hold the space and to seek to them for guidance. Like, what do I do? But it's beautiful that you guys had each other for that.
Yeah. And it wasn't something that we like planned or anything. It was like, all right, so not the pressure is on, but the pressure is on. Like, what are we gonna do? Like, so that's how it was. It's like we gonna go go hard or go home. You know, you're gonna go to the hospital or go home, literally.
And you know, so there's like this misconception that like once you think that you're going to do a free birth, that if your husband's going to help you, that everything is just going to come easy peasy. And that wasn't the case, because we had to get past our like communication, or get through communication on talking about how we were going to do that. Because if you're not going to the hospital, well, you're going to have to fill those areas that need to be met, right? So if you don't tell your partner how to do that for you, or how they're needed, those are like gaps that go unmet in their mind, and so that puts even more stress on the situation. So you just really have to find time to sit down and talk and see what ways like he can fill those holes for you. You know, because I'll take a lot of pressure and stress off women as the ones who are bringing the life in. Because, you know, actually, I don't know that that's the case. I felt protected and I felt safe with my husband being there, and so I was more receptive to the care. You know what I'm saying? Like, versus trying to do it alone. And I'm not saying that you can't do it alone, but my husband fulfilled a role, that of the doula or of the midwife. So I felt supported. And I definitely think that there's power in that dynamic, because now the baby feels more welcome and supported to come in. You know, so if there was like at a time at the hospital where
we have to,
being stifled or being
I feel
afraid.
like having home birth and free birth is like co-aligned with trying to be like self-sustainable. Things like in that you know, field.
Yeah.
And like, as long as like both parties, as long as both of us are on that wave, like, all right, we're independent contractors, we're owners, whatever. As long as we're on that same, that's where I would recommend having a home birth. It's like, as long as there is this like equal push and ebb, or push and flow with that, because that's how you're gonna really feel safe. Because it's not just about home birth; it's about just strengthening your faith at that point, or strengthening or learning different ways we can become our greatest version. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, that sounds beautiful. It sounds like it's definitely more in that spiritual realm, that energetic energy that you guys brought to that. And can you guys speak more on, you know, other than the energetics, how did you guys prepare for the free?
We pay down the long run for the convenience of anything, you know. So that's major. It's like how much work we want to put into not only ourselves, but just our evolution, like our self growth, and with our partner and in the relationship. This has been a huge milestone for me, you know, for us. Like, I've always had that in mind in my whole life. It's like, why do we need to rely on the government? See, but now we figured things out. We figured out how to file to get the documentation, you know, everything that we need. So it's less scary. You see what I'm saying? Like, it's all convenience.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And there is a price to pay later on, right? It's like you either sacrifice now, or later on having a possible traumatic hospital birth and having to stay with postpartum depression, baby not lacking, maybe having a disconnection with your baby and the world and yourself.
Yeah. Honestly, it seems like the more interference you have at the hospital, the harder it is to establish like an authentic connection with your baby. Just like all of the medicine, like the medicine, the pain medication intervention, or having the mask, that's an intervention, because you're like, these are really key parts of your memory that you need to like be able to hone in on when your baby is screaming at the top of their lungs and you're like, but I love you. Like it really does do something to your mind. Like, okay, this little person needs me. The nurse isn't gonna run to their attendants. The doctor's not gonna show up.
They're too busy helping other people.
Like you have to do it.
Yeah.
So all of this intervention, and you're not having to trust or rely on yourself that much.
Yeah.
That's a problem. And it's gonna be a problem when you get home and you were used to everything being done for you, and now you have to do it all yourself.
Yeah. Anyways, either way.
Yeah.
It ends up just being not just you, but the family, and God, it's the middleman. Cut out the middleman. Every life is cherry,
Absolutely.
That's what it is.
You know, it was also a trip when we filled out the paperwork for her birth certificate, and they asked, it said the cost of birth,
What?
like they asked, like, well, obviously when you go to the doctors are the ones filling out those papers. And it was just kind of a trip because I'm like,
well,
this is
and it goes deep into the rabbit hole with the whole birth certificates and
well, we don't want to go into all that right now.
all that stuff.
We're just
But listen, some people, I wouldn't choose to do this because I don't know, it's just the way I move. But some people take it to that extremity and they don't get anything. And I mean, like, I wouldn't do that, but it exists.
I'm just talking about the amount that it costs to have birth in a hospital when it was free at home.
Right.
Like, hold up. When I look at that little box, I'm like, oh, it's free. Like, it didn't cost nobody nothing. It might have cost me $35 for this. Cool. Or cost us, this little course or this, but it didn't cost in the thousands. Like, y'all, the epidural is not cheap. And people usually don't care because they're like, oh, my insurance will cover that. My insurance will cover that. Oh, I don't need this. Like, wait, you're cutting out this beautiful experience because your insurance will cover that? It's postpartum is real. And your insurance, like, you shouldn't be going into things because your insurance will cover that. It's like the mindset, I feel, is that what needs to change. And women also need to allow more room for their spouses to be there, to be present, even in the hospital setting, because it's not there. It's just like, oh, he can cut the cord.
Yeah.
But what else does a husband do other than bring the birth bag and those there's really not a whole lot of room.
Yeah, we are literally responsible just as much. Just because it's not coming out of our bodies doesn't mean it did not come. She did not come out of my body. Like she literally did. So it just doesn't happen to the scale that it's like it actually physically does. But spiritually, we have this cord. So if spiritually they cut this cord and they're like, well, you can't see, they literally cut a cord, like the placenta. Like, it's crazy. It's crazy how the physical transcends the metaphysical, what they're actually doing. They literally cut a cord. That is very important in the growth of the baby, and they say it's not important. At that point, that's where we have to have the discernment to say, okay, most don't, but because of the convenience, right? That's why we have to have the discernment to say, okay, is this natural? Is this going against you know,
Everything that I believe in.
what, yeah.
Yeah, they
How
let
much-
us do the honors of cutting the cord.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's honor, you know, like that. And they don't, and the hospital's not going to tell you that because
they
they're
need
there
money.
for their convenience.
They need
Like
the money,
what
right?
conveniences you doesn't convenience the hospital,
Mhm.
but the two don't communicate about those things.
Mhm.
And 9 times out of 10, their convenience will trump yours.
Mhm.
So if it's convenient for them to cut the umbilical cord so they can get the placenta out, but they can also charge you for Pitocin and
get more drugs.
a bio
Whatever. Yeah.
organ charge and all these charges, they're going to do it, and they're
Yeah.
not going to educate you at all.
System, right? It's a
Yeah.
system, and there's steps
Yeah.
that they follow.
Check
Yeah.
box.
They follow their
Check.
orders without the accountability of human nature.
At all. There's so
Like
you
a
know,
machine.
it is
Like a
you know,
machine.
the nurses come in and they perform their checks,
Mhm.
but there's not really a whole lot of interaction with nurse and patient. How much does the doctor actually tell you to do
Not that that
other
matters.
than push? All
Yeah.
right, the baby's here. Here
This
you
is a
go,
person
nurse.
that you
Wash
don't
this
know.
baby and hand it to the mom. All right, deuces.
Yeah, it's a person that you don't know, you have no prior history with, you know, it's gonna be kind of hard.
Yeah. And see,
Considering the things that's not happening, the inactions over the actions.
Mhm.
yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And you know, to be honest, like, so when I went into the OB, just because I was just like, you know what, let me go in here and see what my what all my levels are looking like what my blood's doing and everything. And just the amount of time that I had to wait in the waiting room, I was like, these people don't respect my time. I gotta respect theirs and be on time to this appointment, but the amount of time that it takes for me to sit in this little waiting room lobby shows me that there is not going to, it's not reciprocal. Like there's a lot of giving from the patient and a whole lot of taking from the facility. You know, like it's a lot of take, but they're not really. That people say, oh, they're giving me peace of mind. Are they? Are they giving you peace, or are you giving you peace because the convenience is handled? You can get all the same blood and lab work done that you would at the hospital via online. I didn't find that out until later, but I had to go through these things, or we had to go through these things so we could advise other people. Like you don't have to do all of that.
Yeah.
Like you don't. I didn't necessarily need a sonogram because it's radiation, and I didn't realize that, but I needed to do that so that I could go and look and be like, you know, do I really need this? Same with the ROGAM. I happen to be an Rh negative blood type, but because of that blood type, here they go again. Oh well, you gonna need this, and this. Anything for a coin with them. Anything for a coin. So those doubts, those are seeds. They plant little seeds of doubt in your mind. Because
and it's weird because they'll try to bring it up and it's like, damn, I wasn't even inquiring about that. Like I was just thinking that, and somehow they know like what they somehow, right?
Yeah, they could intervene with the
Yeah.
next thing that they can give you.
Exactly. And see,
It's
let me
deeper
tell
than
you
what we see.
what happens is when we go in and Tony and I say, okay, well, we're feeling the home birth this time. Like, thank you for letting us know that everything is good to go. But here they go. Well, we're looking at your placenta and it's low lying.
In this low
my God.
line, they try to say that.
What does that even mean? Well, it's close to
How
the
many weeks
low
were
line.
you at when they said that?
That was really early.
How many weeks? I think that was
So
like
early.
25,
Wow.
like 20 something weeks.
Yeah,
And they're
they
like,
tried to finesse us.
yeah, and they were just like, well, you know, you can't have a home birth if you have a low. And I'm just like,
And I
okay,
look it
what the
up,
hell
and I
is
look
low?
it up, and it says it's common.
Yeah, and what we know is as your gestation progresses, naturally your
It
uterus
rises.
is bigger and your placenta moves upward.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, but that's that seeded doubt that they put in your mind. Oh my gosh, I might really need to go to the hospital. I don't want anything to happen to my baby. Because, that's what I immediately go through. I'm like, oh, Lord, I haven't educated myself enough for that.
But yo, I
Like,
swear, like she
oh,
sent me this
did I
message
really
about
have
them
to?
saying that. You sent me that message about them saying that, and I kind of freaked out and I looked it up and I was like, yo, it says this is so common. Like it's
You'll be fine.
25 weeks. Yeah, totally.
As I'm sitting in front of the doctor, I'm like, oh geez, Regina, did you overdo it? Do you really think that you had a home birth? Do you have a low line?
Did you eat something wrong?
Here goes all this chatter in my mind.
Wrong? Did you get your diet? You know what I'm saying?
Again, there's that communication with us. Like, I immediately told him what was going on. So, and the fact that, they would tell me that, and I wasn't really far enough, I'm not far enough along yet. So it shows you that, okay, they're just trying to get that coin for your delivery.
Yeah.
Right? Because by any means necessary, we're going to say whatever. And I know, the doctors have to look out for those things. And it's just like, but
I've done door-to-door sales, and that sounded like I've done door-to-door sales. That sounded like a rebuttal
to me saying that I want to do it.
It sounded like a rebuttal. It sounded like it's called direct marketing.
Yeah.
It sounded like a rebuttal. It sounded like.
And let me tell you how quick they were to tell me that they didn't want. Okay, well, when I say I'm going to do a home birth, here is this letter. We don't support that. And good luck to you. But you could come back. You could come back for postpartum care. I'm like, why would I come back for postpartum care?
They cut off something.
You completely.
They cut off the visits, or what did they say?
No more visits until after you have this baby, because we don't want anything to do with you. You don't want to go.
So they pretty much told them so. Especially
who does that? It
gave us more confidence.
If it was really somebody who was looking out for your best interest or your baby's best interest, it shouldn't matter where you have the baby at.
Exactly.
They should just make sure that everything is okay leading up to your delivery date, and then after.
Yeah.
Oh, you didn't get a chance to make it in with us? That's okay. How are you doing? How are you feeling? And it's not like that. They wanted to cut me off weeks before. Oh, wow. We can't take your service. We don't care. But thank you for that money before, by the way. Your insurance handled that.
Yeah.
That's really what it is. They don't care. These corporations, these companies do not care. And so it's just like, okay, well, if you don't care about me to that degree, then I need to care about myself. I need to take my behind home. Literally, take your behind home and do what you got to do. My children were able to be present. My husband was. We had to have no mask on.
Yeah. We
had people coming in for checks every 15 minutes. What's going on? Like, that gets to you. Is there something wrong? What is going on? Like, is there going to be something wrong with my baby? Oh, I didn't opt to give them vitamin K. Am I going to go home? And they're like, all these things. It just the hamster wheel. It just keeps spinning when you put yourself into like the path of Babylon, because you don't allow God, you don't allow your family, you don't really allow for those check boxes to be checked naturally, because you're like running ahead and you're doing all of this stuff that you really don't need.
And once you're in the hospital, you're in their zone, and you're gonna feel more coerced to do what they want to do, because you're in their field.
Seriously. Literally. And I know that they're like, I'm not saying that I can't stand the hospital and no, never go to hospital. That's not at all what we're saying. We're just talking about, for me, a birth is not a surgery. I don't consider it a surgery. I'm not talking about women who had C-sections. I'm saying for women who want to experience a vaginal birth without intervention of doctors or nurses, and even midwives to a degree, you possess the know and wherewithal to do that. You and your partner, you and your husband.
The secret is that there is no secret. It's just
in you.
It's just like, how can we as fathers, dads, husbands, how can we do it? It's just, it says it in the Bible. It says that we listen to God as men, and women listen to us. We have to follow God. And it literally says that. And so what we got to do is just make sure that we are aligned in our ability to trust God. You see what I'm saying? To trust the Most High, to trust everything, not the natural plan of things. You know, that's what matters.
Yeah. And there was actually very little that we needed.
Yeah, we
There
didn't
was
need
very
much,
little.
but that
There was very little.
there was a lot of trials and, tribulations and challenges and things that we had to get over, not only within ourselves, but just, many little stumbles in our relation, like communication with each other.
Yeah.
But we got over it, like, just gotta be able to accept the challenge.
Yeah. Can you guys share a moment during the birth process where, for either of you guys, did something come up where you guys had some fear, or
during
like, oh God.
after she went into labor?
Mm-hmm.
Are you saying like after?
Yeah, during the whole birth process, when and anything came up, and how did you overcome that? Like, what did you say to yourself, or how did you guys hold space for that with each other?
Well, other than the only real issue was the blood type. Really, the only real issue was that, and that, and there was a just the ability to have, not like, to be able to do our own thing and also prepare for her arrival. That was tough too. And honestly, all we had to do is compromise.
So Tony, what is your major takeaway from what you witnessed, from what you've experienced with rebirthing?
Well, it's honestly it's just one of those things that I've looked forward to my whole life, next to getting the dream home, or even getting married. It's just one of those things. It's like, it confirms that, what's natural works. What's natural does not, what somebody says over what actually exists and actually happens isn't important. What somebody says, what a doctor says, isn't more important than what's actually going on in every other species of nature. It's not just, is this working with humans? No, you don't see any other species with a hospital. You see what I'm saying? You don't see any other species that needs money. You see, like, so one thing I'll take away is that it's really it strengthened my faith. The woman, y'all queens deserve a lot more respect for, like, the things that how this process works, because it's just a lot of pain. It's a lot of pain, but it's like a good pain. It's not a bad pain. It's just a pain that's opening you up for blessings. So yeah, it's just a strengthening of faith. That's one thing you can take away from this. And a couple of things I've learned were the different what you call it, the method?
Bradley method.
Yeah. the different the different methods.
of pain application, or like with a healthy pain interference application using the Bradley method. So
Yeah.
acupressure versus
anti-pressure.
acupressure. This is essentially
And
the
shout
same
out
thing.
the legacy birth.
Mhm.
Shout that out too, because she showed us some step-by-step stuff on how to get the birth certificate, all that stuff.
So that was one of the resources that helped you guys.
Yeah, legacy birth.
Yeah.
But that's pretty much that. So.
And what advice would I give a dad going through the free birth experience? Honestly, it's just it's just really be the foundation to be the best foundation that you can be for your lover, for your wife. You know, it's do your best, but also, you know, compromise and listen to the needs of your wife. It's really simple. It's really more simple than if they make it out to be. That's why they make it so complicated, so you don't do it, or they try to, you know, portray that it's something. No, it just takes a level of vulnerability and just being able to be, you know, like yourself and transparent. You know, see through you see your intentions. You see it. So that's what it is.
And I do have one more question. Like, so if there was, if someone came up to you and he was a nervous partner, husband, what would be one thing you could do to ease his mind? Or he's like, I don't know about this, you know, outside of a hospital, my wife doing this. What would you say to him?
Just trust God. Just trust God, you know. And if people aren't the biggest on the whole 3-letter God thing, just trust the process. You know, trust what's natural, because no other animal needs a hospital, you know. And they do just well populating the earth. Yeah.
Nature doesn't lie, and nature do its thing. It works.
Yeah. Nature's the natural is the only way, really.
Everything that you can do, you can see in nature. So if the animals don't need a hospital, 9 times out of 10, you don't.
Yeah.
9 times out of 10. I say 10 times out of
10
10.
times out of 10. Say 10 times out of 10.
9 times out of 10. You don't.
There is no scenario.
She came right out. It's been all day. It's been about, how many hours was it? It was 7 hours?
No, it was
9.
9 to 9.
9 to 9.
Yeah. So,
Look at her.
I don't want to show her too much and give her
Okay.
some privacy, but she's here, she's safe. Mommy's safe, Daddy's safe, all of us.